Hi everybody, this is Ospreyeye from MyChartCoach.com, and we're going to take a look at some more stocks that were in play on Monday or are setting up. Okay, first up we're going to look at APRI, closed up 7% today. So nice close. This has been on a nice run. It is currently hitting 67, it's still below the 70 overbought zone, but if you can look back here, it tends to pull back once it gets above 70. It closed at 97 on Fasto, so it is at the overbought level. It's almost maxed. It made a really nice move here up to the 100-day simple moving average, which is currently at 139. That is the gold line. You can see that hit high of day. That is the key level to break. Notice that was the back here where this gap in April. Okay, so it's that gap was filled by this upper wick, but it is hitting this upper gap resistance level and the top of the gap resistance level and the 100-day simple moving average. So to head higher, it needs to close above this gold line. If it can close above that, then we'll be talking about a potential run up to the 200-day simple moving average at 174. Notice the candles have been riding EMA's 4 and 8 support higher. If it fails to break the 100-day simple moving average, you could see a drop below EMA 4, and then you might see a pullback to test this middle Bollinger Band at 113. That would be the key support level to hold on a pullback. The candles are, have formed this really nice uptrend here. Holding the 50-day simple moving average at 107. So what we're looking for now is a break above the 100-day simple moving average, and that'll signal a move higher. Notice it's been heading higher on light volume. So this is a thinly traded stock, but it has been making a good move, and the 200-day simple moving average will be on deck if it closes above the 100. Okay, take a look at WAC. We want to see RSI get above 50. It's currently at 47. Fasto at 74 is still below the 80 overbought level. Nice bullish crossover on ADX with plus DI crossing minus DI to the upside. Okay, a signal the bulls are heating up. WAC has been in this downtrend. Okay, notice back here there was a close in May below the middle Bollinger Band. That's the dotted purple line. It's currently at 79, and the candles have been having a hard time breaking that level and turning it into support. If you look back here in June, there was a close above, but that level failed to hold, and the downtrend continued. So now, since back here in June, this is the first close above the middle Bollinger Band. The first time in the month of July, it looks like it closed right at that level on the first trading day of July. And so this is a signal that the chart is possibly heating back up. We want to see that middle Bollinger Band, like I said, at 79 hold. If it holds, a possible new uptrend can begin. If you look below here, PSAR is at 70. The green dots have flipped below the candles, so that's a good signal that possibly uptrend could be beginning. The upper Bollinger Band up here at 92 and the 50-day simple moving average, the green line here at 97, are the next two key resistance levels to break. So what we want to see is a bullish change in trend. Back here, a red candle followed the white candle that closed above the middle Bollinger Band. So tomorrow we'd like to see a white candle form above that level, and keep an eye out for a volume spike, and notice that there were recent bullish crossovers on MACD, so that's a signal the chart is heating up. Okay, let's take a look at NXTD. This chart is starting to heat up as well. We've got Fasto or RSI at 49, so you want to see that get above 50. Notice how 50 has been big resistance. If it can break above 50, then it could get moving like this past run. Okay, now we've got Fasto up back above 20. There was a crossover here, and it's up at 30, so we want to see it make that push back up to the 30 level. Nice crossover here on plus DI with the green line crossing the black line to the upside. And so NXTD did the typical NXTD thing, and it sold off after the gap up open. Notice these black candles here. Okay, they represent pullbacks after a gap up open. The open is the top of the candle and the close is the bottom, and this means that even though the share price was up for on the day, it closed below the open, signaling the bears were in control. And so A lot of times they're a head fake. On this chart, really the main thing that's important is the 100-day simple moving average at 168, this gold line, and then the middle Bollinger Band at 164. Bulls want to see candles forming above both levels. Notice how they've been big resistance. Okay, the candles have failed to break that level. Once you see it close above that level, it's going to be a bullish change in trend, and then you could see a new uptrend begin. It has to bust through the upper Bollinger Band at 185, but you could see it run back up to the 200-day simple moving average. As long as candles are forming below the 100-day simple moving average in the middle Bollinger Band, that will signal continued consolidation and possible downside risk. Notice there is a gap between these two candles, between high of day of Friday and low of day on Monday. On a pullback, that gap could fill. So there was a big volume spike today, but having the big pullback from high of day, that creates a spike down on accumulation distribution. So that was more of a signal that people were selling. It's bearish divergence when that happens. Okay, so down here on MACD, you want to see this pinched MACD line cross over the signal line on the 8, 13, and 5, and then you'd want to see that signal line come up on the 12, 26, and 9. Let's look at DCTH here. Okay, this is a bounce play that looks like it's setting up here. Our RSI is in no man's land at 38. Fasto is down here, oversold levels at 4.7. It's extreme oversold. We want to see that black line cross the red line to the upside. The ADX is looking bearish with minus DI above plus DI and ADX. So the bears have been in control here. Notice that there's been 5 red candles in a row, and candles are forming below the middle Bollinger Band, which is at 15. And so that when that happens, when there's a close below the middle Bollinger Band here, notice there's a pullback from above the upper Bollinger Band all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band. It failed to hold. That was signaling downside risk. It got back above, but it failed to hold again, and then the downtrend continued in the sideways consolidation pattern. You want to be on the sidelines when this pattern forms. We've been looking for a potential bounce play. Now we're looking at a possible bounce off this 100-day simple moving average at 0.09. That is the key level to hold tomorrow and possibly form a reversal pattern. If that level does break, you could see a potential drop down here to this big gap between these two candles here. And so a drop down here just about 6 cents would fill the gap. Notice here that there was a gap between these two candles, and today's candle did fill that gap. So now the first gap is filled finally on the DCTH chart. So keep in mind that gaps do get filled in Pennyland, and market makers do pull the share price back to fill the gaps. So this gap did get filled, and then now that could be a catalyst for a bounce along with hitting the 100-day simple moving average. So this is a good setup for a bounce play tomorrow. If that does break, it could see a big drop down to 6. It looks like with this gap fill, you could see a technical bounce. In order to get going though and moving higher, it has to get above EMA 4 at 12, and it has to get above the 50-day simple moving average at 11. As long as candles are riding EMA 4 resistance lower, this will be a risk to hold. A close above that level will be a signal that the bounce play is in progress. Okay, take a look at APHB. It's trying to heat up here. You want to see RSI get above 50. There was a bullish crossover down here on Fasto. It is at oversold levels, so there's a lot of room to run. As you can see, this is another bounce play. It pulled back for 5 candles in a row. So you've got the 5 red candles with the declining volume pattern, and then a white candle did form today, but it was on very, very, very light volume. So this is due for a volume spike. So what we want to see now is a bullish volume spike and a push through middle Bollinger Band resistance at 97. If it can get back above $1, you might see a run back up to this upper Bollinger Band at 114, and the top of the channel currently at 119, 120. Okay, so yeah, this is currently hitting this ascending support line, and so this is where it should bounce off of this 50-day simple moving average at 87. If it drops below the 50-day simple moving average and that level turns into resistance, you could see a big drop back down into 80s, possibly down into the 70s to test this recent low. So yeah, this is where APHB should bounce, so keep an eye on it. And then I want to finish up here with some OTC stocks just to give you some other stocks to look at. This is one that we've been following in our chat. and it has this nice uptrend going. Last week when it closed above the EMAs 4 and 8 here, that was a signal that a possible new uptrend was starting. And then notice that the following 3 candles have formed above that level. As long as EMAs 4 and 8 support are holding on this chart, that signals more upside potential, and the signal is to hold for a swing trade. If there's a close below, that'll signal the chart is cooling down and to get off the train. So yeah, so this was a nice follow through here. Notice that you have RSI up here at 62, so there's still room to run until overbought levels, and FASTO is at 76. It did close at high of day today. So taking a look at ASTI, this was alerted last week in our chat, so this turned out to be a big gainer. If you look here, it closed up 100% today, and then we alerted it down here in the triple O's. I believe it was at 0008 or so when it was alerted, and so yeah, so this is over 100% gainer for us in the chat from the alert, and yeah, it kind of fell off of our radar today. It formed this doji last Friday. We were thinking that maybe it was going to top out. Notice that a doji formed here above the upper Bollinger Band. That was the call that maybe it was going to top out, but amazingly it had a giant gap up open and it pushed higher today. Notice that this 2-1 level, 0.0021, was the high close, so that's going to be the key level to break tomorrow. If that doesn't happen, you could see a pullback, and then on a pullback you want to see this 0.0013 hold. That would keep the chart very, very bullish. If you pull it out into a 6-month chart, you can see the upside potential here. It formed this, it had the big pullback, and then it formed a long base, and then now it started an uptrend, and so it is overbought on FASTO at 92, so there's not a lot of juice in the tank, and then you've got RSI at 85, so it is pushing really hard. And then notice this was the big resistance that I just showed you. If it consolidates, it could reset those indicators for another push higher. But yeah, keep an eye on it. As long as support is holding, this uptrend should continue. And then one last one, this just made our radar today. LCLP made our radar for this close above EMAs 4 and 8. Notice how they'd been big resistance. The Bollinger Bands got super tight, and then today there was a close above resistance on a volume spike on some news. So this is a thinly traded stock. We'll see if it can get something going here and get a multi-day run, or if this was just a one-day wonder. It did have news behind the move today, but that's taken with a grain of salt for these over-the-counter stocks. Okay, so thank you very much for viewing this video. For more information about charts and technical analysis, check us out at mychartcoach.com and our YouTube channel at mychartcoach.com. Thank you.